in Alabama. Alabama's going to Ole Miss. The game is at 2:30 on CBS. Alabama's a 12-point favorite. The over/under is at 64.5 points. This is a weird game. I talked to people all week and only had one person pick Alabama in this game. I mean, even straight up, everybody thinks Ole Miss is going to win the game. Everybody is burying the Tide, and honestly, that just scares the heck out of me. Hammer, in this game, what has your attention?
I would say, what Alabama team are we going to see? And what I mean by that is, I think we know who Alabama is at this point. They're not maybe the elite team we've seen Alabama in prior years, but they're still a very good team who struggles on the road. Now, what I really mean is, are they still going to be motivated now that, for all intents and purposes, they're out of the playoff race? Barring absolute chaos, the likes of which we have not seen, that would allow a two-loss team into the playoff. Their goal that they always set out for the year to win the national championship is off the table. So, are they going to be motivated? Does Saban still have these guys engaged? And I think that's something we'll be able to see pretty early on, right? Because it's on the road at Ole Miss. If they're not ready to play, Ole Miss will punch them in the mouth. If they are ready to play, then all right, buckle in. It should be a very good game. So that's what I'm really looking for in this game, at least right at the start.
Yeah, boss man. You look at it. Alabama is 2 plays away from number one in the country and 9-0, and they're also 2 plays away from 5-4 in Music City Bowl bound. It's an absolutely weird season for the Crimson Tide. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for it. This is going to be a really interesting game. I'll answer Hank's question. I think the Tide are going to be up for it. I do not think that you're going to see Nick Saban is going to have them ready. He does not want to lose 3 games in a season. That is not the Alabama way. They're going to be ready to go. He's going to have been in their ear all week to not give up on this season, and to tell them that there's still a lot of there's a lot out in front of them, and to beat Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss is a big deal. In that locker room at Alabama, I don't think they believe that they should ever lose to Ole Miss, and I think that Nick Saban will be saying that to the team. So I expect them to be up for this game. I expect them to be ready. And like you said, I mean, this is still a top 10 team, and they're a few plays away from being potentially, right there in the playoff hunt, right there in the hunt for the national championship. So, I think that Alabama really's got to get Jahmyr Gibbs going in this game. I think that they've got to, get some of their best players the ball, and Jahmyr Gibbs, to me, is their best player other than Bryce Young. So if they've got a chance in this game, which they obviously do, I think it's going to be a very tight, very close game all the way to the end. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is your X factor.
Yeah, should be really interesting. Hammer, what's your final thoughts and predictions of this game up in Oxford?
I'm going to go Alabama to win and Ole Miss to cover. I think based on what we've seen from Bama this year, even really last year, again, especially on the road, they're playing close games. So I think a 12-point spread is a little much here. Ole Miss is a very, very good team. What I look at in this game, and this is kind of a cop-out, but it's true, the difference to me is Bryce Young. He at the end of games makes plays. And it's really been, the Bama defense that's let them down as of late in these late game situations. So I trust Bryce Young to handle the pressure and play a good game on the road. And look, I think, when you look at Ole Miss, the one game obviously that they've lost and that they struggled in was LSU. And when I go back and, think about that game, it was a lot of LSU getting pressure on Jackson Dart. And once Ole Miss got behind and LSU knew they had to throw, they were able to get pressure on him, just make him uncomfortable. He was missing guys. So if you're Alabama, I think getting out to a fast start, like I mentioned before, showing everybody that you're still here to play is imperative. And then getting into a situation where Ole Miss is having to play from behind and they can't just lean on Judkins and Evans all game and sort of chew the clock, although they don't really do that with the tempo. But you know what I mean? Control the game, control possession, and sort of bring Alabama into that slugfest. If Alabama can start fast, I like them to win, but I think this is a close game. I think it'll get into the 30s, but I like Alabama to win by a field goal or maybe a touchdown at most.
Yeah, and also in that LSU game, Zach Evans did not play that, and their best player not being there, he makes a huge difference in the offense. Just something to remember that nobody's talking about that. Boss man, your final thoughts and predictions.
Yeah, I agree with Hank here. I'm going to take Alabama. I think they'll be up for this game. I think they'll be ready. Bryce Young is going to be a big factor in that. Ole Miss has given up, I think, about 380 yards a game or so, last I checked. I think this Alabama offense is going to be able to get going. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs, as I said, is going to be that X factor. I think that he can get the running game going. I think that they'll utilize him in the passing game as well. And I think that Alabama takes this one. I'm going to go with the touchdown as well.
All right, that is Alabama and Ole Miss at 2:30 on CBS. Alabama's favored by 12 points. The over-under is at 64.5 points. Should be a good game. The SEC Game of the Week on CBS. Coming up in about an hour, we're going to tell you about South Carolina